For 3 months. Well, I went back again after I'd go to sea for, I don't know, 6 months. Then I would go back to upgrade school to get my chief cook's papers, and then we'd go through. And there's one thing about this old gal that we stayed with. She liked Ellen Idle Jackson, and she would always save that for us. She wouldn't even rent it. She
wouldn't even try to rent it.
Try to rent it. She'd say, I know you guys are going to be back. I'm going to hold this open for you. And then we'd come back and she'd babysit and let me borrow her car.
Oh, God.
So we had a lot of fun growing up.
Well, you talk about gambling. Your dad gambled some, didn't he?
My father, now my grandfather, was a great chicken fighter.
Oh, that's right.
You remember back in those, now this was way back in probably 1909 or maybe even probably about 1909 or 1887. He would take a train down to New Orleans or down to Miami, Florida, and fight his chickens. And now you know that had to be pretty tough going at those time of the years to take a box of chickens and take them down here and fight his. He was known all over the South for his chickens. He was a great chicken fighter. So he was a gambler. And then my father, he was no, he wasn't the best gambler. I never saw any good deals he ever made.
Well, how did they end up in Wisconsin then?
Well, my grandfather was the first tile setter out of Chicago.
Stonemason.
Stone cutter and marble setter. And then he worked out in Chicago when he was a young man.
Where?
And I guess they went up on teams.
I'm not sure whether
on big old teams because it had to be back in around 1870 or 1860, you know. So they had to go up on back of wagons to get there.
You don't know where he's from, though?
He was from Germany.
But what part of Germany you don't
No,
know?
we never.
Well, there was some question that he was Dutch, too.
But he was a Dutch, yeah, he was.
We don't know whether he's German or Dutch.
I'm Dutch, same difference.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was in the South, right?
No, he was in Milwaukee.
He was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
He fought chickens in Milwaukee?
No,
well, he raised chickens in Milwaukee, but he fought them in the South. He fought his chickens in the
he would
South.
travel all the way down there?
He traveled all the way down there on a train.
Incredible.
And my father said he used to have a huge diamond ring, a big stone. And when he'd be down on his hands and knees beating the floor, you could see this flash go across the room from the sparkle of that diamond, you know.
How about,
I think Ed has that ring.
Ed? That's mom.
He might have your ring.
That's my cousin, not my own.
That's how we met. He has the spurs, too.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Huh?
He has the spurs.
Yeah, I think he does have his spurs.
Yeah, he has the spurs to the
chicken. The chicken and his great-grandfather.
You were there, you met it.
Yeah.
He sent me my father's level.
Oh, he did?
And my grandfather's. My grandfather had the level, and he gave it to my father. And Ed had it. He took it out of the shop when they closed down the shop. And he had it hanging up on the wall. And I've got it hanging up.
So you're going to get the spurs?
No, the spurs won't be mine. See? No. Just my father's level. The spurs belong to Ed, because, I mean, he belonged to whoever got them.
Yeah.
You know, it was a deal like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the story of my father.
Your mother was a real beautiful lady, too.
She was a well-preserved woman, too. She lived to be 89 years old and good right up to the last day. And Dad was good up, but he had a stroke. And he lasted 9 years after his stroke.
She is a good lady.
Helen, did you know Jack in high school?
Well, kind of, but not really.
You didn't go to the same high school?
No.
Did you live close by?
No, I picked him up.
That sounds kind of funny, Mom.
Well, we girls were in the car.
Uh-huh.
And he was walking. And one of the girls in there asked him if he wanted to ride.
There was two other guys with me,
There were two other guys and there were two girls. So they got in the car and then we went and had a drink.
A drink? How old were you?
Probably 18.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you're here, Mother.
Anyhow, so the juke tip over. Anyhow, so then I let him drive the car. Which was a mistake because he didn't know how to drive.
You didn't know how to drive, really?
No, my dad wouldn't give me a truck. That was the only truck he had.
So, how did he drive?
Not very good. I taught him.
You taught him. Well, your dad taught you how to drive then. Your dad had some philosophies. He wrote a book, right?
Yeah, he did.
What was the name of that book?
Huh?
What was the name of
On
it?
the Wings of Tomorrow.
And he believed that book was in the future, right?
Well,
Part of it was.
part of it was. The back part. The first part was of his life.
Of his life.
Because he was with President Taft in the Philippines, President Howard Taft in the Philippines in 1902. Oh, but he wasn't. President Taft wasn't president then. He was
I don't know.
the head man of the Philippines, training, educating them. Well, they called them heathens in those days. And then he came back and went to YMCA. Then he went to Russia to try to start a YMCA.
Your dad did.
Took my mother and my brother. But because he was a Mason, they ousted him. And they went back to YMCA.
Well, there was rumors that the Pocahontas is related to you.
Well, that's what I've always heard.
And but the Ames are they're not very proud of that at all.
My grandmother was, I think it was more on the Dakin, Maine side than it was on the Ames.
Do you remember the Ameses? He played on Daniel Boone. What was his name? Ames. You remember what was
The dark
Ames?
Maine,
They were
the
singing.
dark color.
The Dark Killer.
The Ames brothers.
That guy, right?
Well, that is not the same age.
Not the same age?
No relation.
But he was one of the Indians. He played Indian on Daniel Boone.
So whatever you say.
But your dad is a really good person.
You
Well, my dad was-
you met him, didn't you?
Yeah, I like
You were
him.
alive.
My dad had a doctorate in law to practice in Supreme Court of the United States of America, which is kind of college. My mother was no dummy. She graduated in music
Oh, she did?
at the University of Wisconsin.
Oh. She lived until when?
92.
No, she was 92. She was
Wow.
the oldest one.
She was a good looking woman.
And she
too.
she was good in her health right up to the end. She just passed off like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't no drang on, you know.
Yeah. Cancer and that. Nothing like your sister going.
That was too bad.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Is it true that your oldest daughter married a hippie from California?
At that time,
At that time, we sure thought he was a hippie. But we found out later that he didn't never was a hippie.
So, Helen, you're a good shot, I hear. Is that
I like shoot snakes.
shoot snakes in the lake? Water?
On the lake, following my husband or whatever they're doing, I'm going to shoot them.
And also snapping turtles?
Yeah, but I'm not very good at turtles.
So, Jack, could you tell us about the mountain lion?
What mountain lion?
The one you got with a bow and arrow?
Oh, yeah, the one up in Idaho. Yeah, I crawled up there. I'd had a little sickness in my day. I had a bypass. I had to have 7 bypasses. 6 months later after that, I had a chance to go into the mountains of Idaho and kill a mountain lion, so I had to take it up. My nephew Kenny, who is now passed away, he got me a hunt up there, and he and I went up in the high mountains, shot this mountain lion, and it was a beauty. He weighed 120 pounds. And it took us 5 arrows to kill him. But he made a beautiful mountain.
Bev, if you get lonesome, you can listen to this.
Right.
I remember one of
Very
the first times I went to Houston, you had a wild boar in the back of your pickup truck.
Was I just bringing that in?
Yeah.
Huh.
And you told me you had to shoot it 6 times. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was a good hunt. We went down here in South Texas, and they had well, in the town of Divine, and they had these boars down there. This was a feral hog. They had the Russian boar and the feral hog. Well, the hunt was a guaranteed hunt. You don't pay no kill. Well, I went ahead and took it on, and the outfit gave me 3 dogs and 300 acres and turned me loose. And when they did, these dogs, it wasn't 5 minutes, they had this big boar bayed back in the brush. And I crawled back in there, and I didn't know anything about killing a wild boar, so I thought it'd be nothing to it. But I crawled in, made my shot, and hit him right in the chest cavity, but his chest cavity was like a big iron shield of cartilage. and my arrow didn't go in, but perhaps maybe an inch or so. And that boar just charged right down this little rabbit trail at me, and boy, I'm backing up and backing up and backing up. And in the meantime, the dogs turned back on him again and caught him in the back flank and made him bay again, and they had him cornered. But if they hadn't caught him or made him bay, I believe I'd have been pretty well chopped up. But after that, I stayed near a tree, and every time I shoot, he'd put me up a tree. And finally, the last time, he put me up a fence. And but in the meantime, I'd gotten a pretty good, clean shot into him. And it wasn't but 50 yards later, he dropped dead on me. But he weighed about 320 pounds. But I didn't know you saw him when I brought him in.
Yeah, what? I remember you tried to get me to lift up the heavy end.
Oh, is that right?
Not Daddy.
Okay, we're going to sign off. You guys want to leave us with a real happy note?
Oh, sure. I tell you, for me, this has been a lovely trip. That we can make it back here again in about another 6 months.
Today we buried